Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is Chocolate City Tech. This is Derek. This is going to be the last episode in the Git tutorial. In the last episode, we sort of covered a lot of basic commands, which, as I mentioned, is going to be the majority of things you actually end up doing with Git. In this last episode, we're going to cover a lot of the workflow that you're going to deal with in Git. This is really helpful when you're working in a large team, especially. So without a lot of stuff to talk about, let's go. All right. So in the last episode, we sort of ended up right here. We had a working API. It was very simple. It simply just spit out some JSON that we copied from JSON generator, and nothing else really to it. So what we want to do is we want to work in what we call a Git workflow. So far we have one main branch that we work on. In reality, you don't want to do this. What you typically do is you want to create what we call a feature type branches, and you normally want to work off of a development branch. And you want to keep your main branch, master branch, whatever it is that your team calls it. You want to keep that as clean as possible. So in order to do that, what we want to do is we want to create a new branch. Now, generally, there are two ways to create new branches. You can create a branch by simply coming here, clicking new, and as you can see, you type it in and you can create it. Most of the time when I'm working, I like to do this command line. So here in my main branch, I first do get status. Let me push all the work that I have. So at this point, I shouldn't have any more work. You guys already remember the get status on command for this space. So what I want to do now is I want to actually create a development branch. So I'm going to do git checkout. Now checkout is one of those commands that we didn't touch upon yet, and now saving that for this series. So checkout simply means I want to go to another branch. Now if the branch doesn't exist, then it's going to create it. If it already exists and I'm already on it, it's going to tell me that I'm already on this branch. What we want to do is we want to create a development branch. So we do git checkout. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and check out a new branch. Now, when you do git checkout and you just give it this name, what it's going to do is it's going to create it, and you're going to stay right here on this main branch. I don't want to do that. I want it to also switch for me. So I'm going to pass it a -b. And as you can see, it automatically switched to the development branch. As I mentioned before, and when you're working in this sort of a Git flow, well, not sort of, when you work in the Git flow, what you want to do is you want to work off of feature branches. And what you do as your feature branches go along, once you're done with them, you bring it back to your development branch. And then ultimately at some point you might make a release branch, or maybe you release from your main branch. But you always want to attempt to keep, well, not attempt, you always want to make sure you keep a clean branch, one that has clean history, and it's always simple, easy to get back to that. So we just got informed that our API apparently is not good enough. They also want a products API. All right. So what we want to do is we want to create a new feature branch. So just like we issue this command, this time around though, instead of develop, we're going to create a features branch. So let's call it features and products. And once again, it's going to switch over to that branch. Just like we did before, head on over to the JSON generator. All right, so here I am at the JSON generator. I created products. Well, you can go ahead and create whatever you want. Doesn't really matter, honestly. So I'm just going to generate a few of these. Just like we did before, copy it, bring it back down. Products. And I want to go ahead and test our feature, right? So you remember npm run dev, supposed to that. And as you can see here, wait, well, that doesn't work. Why not? Because we never changed what it should return. Yeah, change that. For the server, restart the server. And of course, here you go. Now we have some products and pictures and all of that stuff. All right, so with our Git flow, so what have we done? So we create a brand new feature. This feature now needs to get deployed. So what we're gonna do is git. Now keep in mind, as of right now, this branch doesn't exist. So we need to actually publish this branch. So before we do that, let's go and do git. Let's do git add. Make sure everything is added. So git status. Remember all this part already. So this is all nothing new here. Git status, git commit, message. We added products API. And obviously change the Express server. Go ahead and push that. Now you notice here now that because this is not up there, it's going to tell us we need to push it. So we'll go ahead and get that done. Now let's go ahead and check out develop. Once again, see that develop is also not pushed up, right? So let's go ahead and obviously push that. And that is also pushed. So now we can actually do git branch without passing anything at all, and it'll tell us, and it'll tell us what we have here. So we can pass it a -a to ask for what's also on a remote server, right? So now we know that these are also up there in remote as well. So back to our, let's go ahead and view our branches. And as you can see here, we have our main, we have a develop, and we also have our feature products. Now, what we want to do is we want to create a pull request. And what's our pull request is, so we made some changes here. What we want to do, we want to go from the products, the new feature that we created, we want to get that deployed. So in order to get that deployed, what we're going to do is we're going to request to add this to our develop branch, right? Because that's where we actually deploy from, or maybe we deploy for our main, right? So let's go ahead and create a pull request. Right? Request has been made, right? Now, depending on what it is that you have going, you can do a lot, actually. You can set a lot of configurations where certain things can't go unless, cannot be merged, cannot be completed, and so on and so forth, unless they met some certain criteria. That's a little bit beyond this tutorial, so we're not going to touch on that yet. Now, with the pull request created, so we can go ahead and merge the pull request. Now, there are a few things you can do with pull requests and merges. So you can squash, or you can rebase. Typically, these are the two that I deal with most. Squashing will, what it will do is it will simply combine all your commits into one and create another commit, right? Now, this is fine when we're doing it in develop, but whenever we move into our long living branch, which is our main, we normally want to do rebase and merge, and especially fast forward merge. What that's going to do is it's not going to create yet another commit. It's going to give us a much cleaner looking Git history. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to do squash. Yes, that's what we want to do. Do I want to confirm? Of course. And we have officially confirmed. Typically, once you are done, you no longer need this branch, so you can go ahead and delete that branch. All right, so with that done, let's head on back to our local instances. And let's do, first of all, let's clear this, give some room. So what you will notice now is, and then that's one of the commands that we did before, but we'll pass to something different now. This time around, we'll say git prune. What that's going to do is, of course, you want to do 2 dashes. It's going to remove or properly show us information about files that have been repositories and branches, branches that have been removed. In this case, it is telling us that the products branch was indeed removed, which we obviously did up ahead. So that's very, very important. So that's really a lot of the Git, the flow that you're going to deal with. So typically what you do is you create a feature branch, right? You will add to have your request be merged with your development branch. Someone is going to review your pull request. Once it's approved, it's going to be merged into the develop. Now, if you get on develop, you notice that everything we added was here, even though prior it wasn't. So now we know that the code has merged together. The other item that we can do is you can force an actual merge. So let's do that right now. So if you switch it over to main doesn't have that information, right? So we can do a merge right here. Now, but I mentioned before that there are different type of merges that you can do. The kind of merge you want to do now is it's called a rebase and fast forward. So we're going to do git rebase. No, not on here, but git status. Make sure everything is clean. Make sure I'm on the latest. So what that does is essentially does a complete replay, and it's going to make sure that it doesn't create yet another commit. So we can check by doing git log. And this is something we didn't touch on yet, but git log will show you all the current logs and all the current information. So sometimes you don't want to look at all your logs. And by the way, that was just because I'm using Nano, I simply type Q to exit out of that. So git log dash one line, so I don't have to see every single thing, right? And we can see here that when we added this and all of that, and everything is here, right? All our commits, everything is here. So all right, so what else can we cover? And of course, the last thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we go ahead and push this information up so that it can be. So that's it. All right, that's really all you need to know with Git. For the most part, anything else that you need, as I mentioned before, all you simply do is Git, and you can see that it's going to show you all the information. You can do tags, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. Reality is the majority of these you're not really going to deal with unless typically something goes wrong. But for the most part, I think you're going to be covered. This should be able to get you up and running quickly. You should be able to be productive in any team. And that's it. As usual, if you find information helpful, if you find this content helpful, subscribe, hit the notification, and social media on the bottom, click and follow. That's it. I'll see you in this episode.